Hi friends, welcome back to Shelby and the Book Club. I'm Shelby Monet, and it is time for our March reading wrap up. March felt like it went on for a long time. I could just be being dramatic, but a lot of stuff happened in March in personal life, so I felt like it was like I was in slow motion and fast forward at the same time. I feel like I mostly had a good reading month. And I think I feel like that because towards the end of March, I read some really good books. But like the beginning and the middle of March was a little sketchy. No, the beginning of March was good too because I was finishing before I let go. But the middle of the month was a little sketchy and I kind of hit a little reading slump. It made me realize that when I'm picking my TBRs, I don't account for life happening. Like, I don't account for how much work I might have to do. I don't account for events that we might have to go to. I don't account for maybe wanting to go out with my friends. I don't account for any of that. I just know that I want to read a lot, and that takes priority. So if you would like to hear all of my reading stats, what I read, what I liked, what I didn't like, what I DNF'd, if you like it, if you want to hear how do I say the thing? If you like to hear it, here it go. I'm leaving all of that in here. All right, y'all. I have my handy dandy notebook. Let's talk about some stats. So my total amount that I read for the month are 6 books. One of them being an audiobook. The rest were physical books. I didn't account for how many I DNF'd. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I DNF'd 5 books this month. But one of them a few of them were buddy reads, but one is a buddy read that I did not finish this month, but I do plan to finish within the next couple of days. As far as page count goes, most of the books were between 300 and 500 pages. So I'm kind of like expanding my page length and kind of playing with that a little bit, which I thought was cool. Genres. I did not read any nonfiction this month. I need to get better. But there are a few nonfiction that I DNF'd. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So I did some historical fiction, some YA, some fantasy, some horror, some LGBTQ+, and some romance. And my average rating for the month was 4.06. I did have a few 5 stars. Nefertiti was a 5-star. Before I Let Go was a 5-star. And The House of Eve was a 5-star. So I feel like I said in the intro, I had a pretty good reading month, like towards the end of the month. It was like the middle of the month where some stuff was going on and I had a bit of a reading slump that I was just like, I couldn't dive into anything the way that I wanted to, which I want to do a little bit better at, like, getting myself out of reading slumps. I always feel bad when I get into a reading slump and like I can't find something to like sink my teeth into, because the want to read is always there. Like, I always want to read. It's not that I don't want to read. It's just like being a mood reader sucks. The people don't talk to you about how hard it is to be a mood reader, but being a mood reader is not fun sometimes because you have to figure out what you want to read. So let's get into some of my DNFs and why I DNF'd them. So we're going to do the big one first. The Witching Hour. I read maybe like 20 pages, and honestly, it's the length that's making me feel defeated. It wasn't that it wasn't interesting. What I did read did pull me in. But then I'm like, I got in my head about it, right? So this is, I don't even know how to tell you what this is about. It's about the Mayfair witches and this deity that is like haunting their family and all of the stuff that the deity goes through to like haunt them, and this one particular witch that he picks. I don't know. I want to go back to this. I just don't know when, and I don't know how I'm going to do that. I know people want to read it with me. So I will keep that in mind. Next. The Color Purple. Baby, this book stressed me out. And honestly, I was kind of surprised that it stressed me out because I absolutely love the movie. It's one of my favorite movies. I wasn't prepared for how vulgar Alice Walker is. I wasn't prepared for some of these details. I'm gonna go back to it. It just was a lot. And when I started reading it, there was a lot going on for me mentally. So it just wasn't a good fit. Let's talk about the nonfiction that I did try to read. I don't know why the front of this book is like messy. I don't know what's wrong. And I don't even know if y'all gonna be able to see it. But this one is Sink by Joseph Earl Thomas. It is his memoir. I would like to hug this man. I love this resurgence of Black men being able to be vulnerable and tell their stories. I'm loving seeing Black men heal. This was hard for me to read. I want to fight his entire family, and I don't know how to get past that to finish the book. The writing style is phenomenal. I will eventually finish this. I actually tried to read a few pages today, and the anger resurfaced, and I just have to be in a particular mindset to read Sink. But I do love this book cover. Y'all can see, like, I don't know what, I'm sure my dog did something. And I love like the continuation of the different things on the back, and like reading the book, you know, you figure out what these things are and why, and so on and so forth. Next was I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Again, I need to be in a particular mindset. I need to be able to kind of just sit with this and read it. Some of it was like coming back to me because this is not my first time reading this book. But I want to do this justice. So I might try to pick this up in April. I might. But those are my DNFs. The only one that is missing is Half Blown Rose. I'll put a picture of it right here. I'm going to read that in April. As in within the next couple of days, I'm going to finish listening to the audiobook. So I'll just add that to April's reading wrap up for you guys. But I didn't finish that one either. So those are my DNFs. Now let's get into the things that I did finish. In no particular order. Pet. Oh my gosh, this was so good. I was already an Akwaeke Emezi fan. They are an amazing writer. Please get their pronouns correct. I am always screwing that up. Don't be like me, be better than me. They are amazing. You guys may remember I read The Death of Vivek Oji, and that was one of my favorite books that year for the same reason that this one is a favorite of mine. It is so informative. It is so like genre defying. It is so thought-provoking. So Pet is a monster that comes out of Jam's mother's painting. Well, monster, maybe. It looks like a monster. Let me say that. That comes out of Jam's mom's painting and is on a hunt. That's all I'm going to tell you. It is on a hunt. And it questions like all of these things about family dynamic, about society, about what good and evil is and what good and evil looks like, which I think is an important conversation, especially when we talk about children and how adults are out to harm them, right? There are adults that they trust that manipulate them. Excuse me, ask me how I know. And they trust these certain adults because they look and seem like good people. But this book kind of questions the idea of we can make anything look good, right? Like anything looks good if you don't know what to look for, right? You have to see the unseen. And it's okay to not just trust people just because you can ask questions, you can, you know, so on and so forth. This is a really good book. I really feel like if you have teenagers in your life that are readers, that is something that you should read with them. I would love to be in conversation with a teenager that has read Pet and Bitter. to see like how they feel about it and what their thought processes are. I have ink on my finger and it kind of looks like a smiley face. Do you see it? So there was that. Next, I read Nefertiti by Michelle Moran. Baby, I love historical fiction. I love historical fiction because it aids my want to learn as well as my need for, like, I'm gonna say otherworldliness, but y'all get what I'm trying to say. This is the story of Nefertiti through the eyes of her sister. And baby, Nefertiti was messy. She did not care about herself. This is a book about sisterhood. This is a book about what will you do for power, right? Will you really go out of your way to protect your family, or will you protect where you're trying to go? It also kind of, you know, drives home, at least for me, the idea that there are a lot of things that happened in history that we are taught is feminism, when really them ladies was worried about themselves. They didn't care about the rest of us. Nefertiti wasn't, she didn't care if the rest of us became queens one day or became the pharaoh level status one day. She cared about herself. She did that for her. Next, not my little band-aid that I stuck in here. We're gonna keep it in there too. Next, we have Wild, Beautiful, and Free. This was just okay to me. I wanted more from it. It is about a girl named Jeanette who was a slave, but her father was her owner. And she was treated well, but then like she goes through all of this stuff in her life, and I think it kind of questions the idea of interracial relationships. Are they actually sustainable? Does it make sense? You know, or like, is she just falling in love with somebody that was like her daddy in her eyes, and kind of unlearning what you know about your parents and how you view your parents once you like live your own life and have your own experiences. It was just okay. I think I kind of had an issue with the way she was idolizing the man she decides to fall in love with, when I think maybe his intentions were well, but like, for me, it was like, did he do all that he did for like freeing these slaves because he actually felt that slavery was wrong, or did he do it because of how it made him feel? And those are two very different things, right? I could not be mean to you because I don't think that it's becoming of me to be mean, not because I think that I should be nice to you because you are human and you deserve nice things. They're two very different things. And I think, like I said, it kind of goes back to her father was a white man that did right by her, but he still owned slaves. So like, how good of a person was he? Right? So it was just okay to me. It was a lot of stuff going on that I was like, I don't really know how I feel. I don't really know how I feel. But that's why we read, right? Because it changes your thought processes. You have to think about things a little bit differently and all that kind of stuff. That's why we read. Next, before I let you go, let me stop before Beyonce come and get my video demonetized. Kennedy Ryan. I'm ready to read more stuff by her so that I can confirm to you that I will read whatever she writes. Like, she could write her grocery list on a McDonald's napkin in 3 different languages and I will read it. I already know that, but I just need to read another book to confirm. This was an amazing book. I did do a book review on this. Y'all did see me on the interwebs sobbing about this book. It just was so good. It is a second chance romance about Yasmin and Josiah, who are divorcees, but they have to co-parent and they run a business together. There are some trigger warnings about depression, child loss, and a few things like that. But it really, I think my favorite thing about this book is how it really depicts the dynamics of having to go through things in a family sense, and how, excuse me, just because the parents are getting divorced doesn't mean that the children aren't affected. And I love the representation of therapy. I loved it. It's a really good book, y'all should read this, even if you don't like romance, because I am not a romance girly. I could do without romance for the rest of my life. And I'd be okay. But that was really, really good. It was a really good book. Now, I usually don't go into too much detail about the book club picks, so I'm not going to do that. But I am going to tell you that The House of Eve was so good. It was an amazing book. It is thought-provoking. It has a little historical fiction. It has a little bit of romance in it. I'm really excited to discuss this one. And I really feel like I did a good job with the first quarter of the year with the book club picks. But this Sadiqa Johnson, whatever she writes, I will be buying. She can have my money. I'm good with that. It was really, really good. So that is my wrap up for the month. Let me know if you guys want me to do a quarterly wrap up, so that we can see my stats for the first quarter of the year, genre, amount of books, all that kind of stuff. But without further ado, if no one has told you today, I love you. You're kind, you're smart, you are important. Bye, friends.